Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to start enacting some changes after practice. If you're just joining me, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. Please subscribe if you have not already, because that helps me so much on the business end. The more subscribers, the better. And maybe someday we can get some sponsorship from a multi-billion-dollar corporation by getting ad revenue. Never know. One can always hope. But anyway, today we're going to go back through the car and we're going to probably enact a few changes that I think we should make because of the practice that I just went to in my previous video. I went there and I felt it out and I got a good touch on whatever we were supposed to be doing or maybe supposed to be doing. I'm not sure at this point yet. Nothing has really worked so far, so I'm just kind of floundering and hoping for ideas. But right now I'm going to be blowing apart the front end of the car, and I'm going to show you something else that I did over the weekend. In this milk crate is a giant pile of random pieces of lead. Some are formed, some aren't. Some are like lead sheeting that I folded over. Some are in bar form. Some are molded into pieces of metal like this giant thing. There's a stock pot here, but there's also stuff like this piece of roll bar tubing or pipe that has like wheel weights and scrap lead. Looks like it just melted into it, which is kind of weird, but you know, it all melts. But what I want to do with this is kind of like what I got here. There's this 20-pound piece that I have that's encased in like 2x3 tubing with a hole drilled through it, and I want to make uniform pieces of lead. Like I want to take that and melt that down into stuff like this that's very easy to handle, that, like I said, is encased in steel, so I'm not touching lead or having exposed lead except for on the edges maybe. Something that I can bash the edges in, then hold it in a little easier. And I can use this instead of stuff like this, because this is literally what all of my lead looks like, is this random exposed, this just random lead hanging around. Like I got some bars of it and I got some bricks of it. I don't even know if this placement is really good, but that's all changing. Everything here is changing, so don't get too attached to that. But I have some plates and stuff of it, and it's just, nothing is uniform, Like nothing on my car is uniform. So all the lead is just random shapes and sizes and just silly little pieces and bars that are not the same size as anything else. And I want to change that. I want to change that. I want to make all the lead uniform, and I want to put it where I need it or want it in the car. Like I want to take some of this frame material that I have up here, right? Mold it into that, and either mold it after I cut it or before I cut it or whatever the hell the case is. But I want to make a giant one for the back, and then I want to make like 12-inch pieces or 8-inch pieces or 24-inch or 20-inch pieces. I don't know yet. I have to hash that out. So maybe that'll be this episode. Maybe it'll be a different one, but we got a month to go, and the only thing that practice session told me was that the problems that I have are still there and not fixed in any way. So we have traction issues, and I need to figure it out, because there's nothing more infuriating than having a race car that you can set up and you can tune it and you can put springs and shocks and cross weight and bar and all this other into the car, and the second you touch the throttle, you're sideways and you can't cure it. So we have to figure that out, and that's where I'm going right now. I'm going to try to figure it out, and I don't know where to start, but I'm going to go in a direction that we haven't gone in yet, and that's at the front. So I'm going to go there and look to see if I can find anything wrong, and we'll start fixing it. By the way, if you were curious, the amount of lead that I got was 130 pounds. And I forgot to mention that earlier, but I'd cut up a chassis. Well, my brother and I had cut up an old chassis in his backyard that we kind of just acquired, and it had sat in the woods for, God, way too long to be useful, because you stick a race car outside uncovered or unprotected and it gets rained on, and it's not going to be good even if it has a body on it, because if you have any drill holes in it whatsoever, like if you ever riveted anything to your roll cage, I'm going to try to find an example like on my car. Here, check this out. You see these holes in the dashboard? Water seeps into those, and over the years eventually freezes, and it expands your roll cage, stretches it out, and it's no longer good anymore. So that's what happened to that cage, or that car, I should say. And so we cut it up, and it had all this lead sitting in the back frame rails, and we said, we'll take that. So we cut those parts off, scrapped the rest, and I unearthed them and got the lead out, and then we scrapped all the rest of that. So with lead prices and everything being so expensive, I just said, you know what? I can't afford to buy lead if I need it. We have to hoard this stuff. I mean, you see my shop. I'm not a hoarder, I'm a collector. All this stuff has a purpose, and if it doesn't have a purpose, I get rid of it. So anyway, I was working on the car, and then I went off and started talking to you guys again. Got chilly out. Had to throw the sweatshirt on, but made a bunch of changes. I got to try a bunch of stuff. You know, I'm looking at weights, I'm looking at scale numbers, I'm looking at how it feels in practice, how it feels on the track, what adjustments that I've made, and you know, it's just a process at this point, because I'm doing a lot of stuff that I really should have been doing a long time ago, and I just kind of floundered and really didn't, I don't know, I didn't try enough, I guess. So I came under here, I made a shock change, or not a shock change, but I made a spring change in the back just to see if that would help. I'm going to make a wedge adjustment. I moved a bunch of lead backwards. I came up front here and I made a bar change because I want to try a bunch of stuff. I got 4 different sway bars that I could use, but I don't really know which one's the best for the car, so I'm trying all of them, and well, we'll see. You know, I don't know yet. So I made that change. I got her to fit up in there. I gave her a nice spray paint job because it sat in the woods for 30 something years. I don't even know how long, but it had all sorts of mold and lichens and all sorts of organic material growing on it. But anyway, I made a spring change up front as well. That was pretty standard. And other than that, I don't know what else to do. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't really know if I'm giving away secrets or not, because obviously I'm not yet, because I'm too slow to have any secrets, but you never know. Maybe someday I'll actually hit on something and it'll actually come around for me. So my brother has convinced me that there is another practice about a week before we go racing, like 6 days, but it's at Waterford. Obviously, I'm not really going to learn a heck of a lot about the setup for Thompson, but I will learn about parts and pieces that I used and adjustments that I make. So if I go there and I actually try to do something with making different adjustments, or even if I bring different springs with me, I don't even know if I have time to change it. Maybe I bring other sway bars with me and try those. I'm not really sure, but I got a little time to game plan. I got like 3 weeks to game plan. Next on the agenda, which you might see in this video or the next video, I might start melting lead. And I've never done that before, but actually, you know what? Maybe I'll save that for another video. I got to get the belts put in this car too, because some of them are probably going to be expired by the time the next race hits. Actually, let me go look. It is dark as heck in here. I can't see a thing. Thank God for the light. I'm looking for a tag that has a date code on it. I know, I have two different colored belts. This one says December 23. That's a lie. What's this one say? June. Yeah. June 23. Okay. Well, we got to change those out. This kind of upsets me. Remember back in the day, you used to buy belts and stuff, and they used to be good for 3 years. And they'd even be really cool and backdate it because they knew you weren't going to get them on time. So they would, well, not really backdate, but post-date the SFI inspection to a date closer to when you bought it, or even maybe a little bit afterwards. And these things would be good for 3 years. Well, I just bought these. I get a good 1.5 years out of them, especially for spending the same amount of money, if not a little bit more. That sucks. What I do with my old belts is I just kind of take them out, but I don't, take them apart. I match them up for length with the next belt that I'm going to put in. And that makes putting them in so much easier. And I even have like this little system with like the shoulder harnesses where I'll take and I'll mark how far down this adjuster here goes, like the bar on the adjuster, and then I'll just basically throw them in, tighten them up, excuse me, and as long as they sit on that line, then they're going to be adjusted properly, and I'll be able to pull the belts down tight, no problem. And yes, I know my seat has duct taped together and is falling apart, and all this foam is coming out of it. I know. The seat is older than my racing career, so I'm still using it though. New belts are in. Pleased about that. Unfortunately, this car is very tight, and I got the pull down belts instead of the pull up belts, so I can't just yank my, waist belts up. Fifth belt seems to fit good. Everything's good. I can just basically take these flat belts and just tighten them before I get in, and if that's wrong, I can just maybe pull them up a little bit and whatever. I'll make adjustments on the way, but these are in. The best thing I ever did for this was put Zeus fasteners on this window. Doesn't really do a lot, but, hold my long forgotten wind stickers. There should be 5, but there's 4. As I can hear the raindrops falling on my garage, and it's getting pretty late, I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. I don't think that's going to be it for this video. I got to show you guys at least a little bit more stuff because this was kind of weak sauce. But I checked a bunch of stuff off the list. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm like, belts, yup. Springs, yup. Weights, yup. I got to pour all those new lead ones. I think I'm going to make that a complete different video like I said before. I got to cover up the car with the sheet because this is a brand new windshield thanks to Jeff Aslan and other viewers and subscribers and people who've helped me out along the way. I appreciate it. So, made a lot of changes so far. I don't know if we're ever going to really get it right, but we're going to try. I mean, that's all we can do. I can't put this much work into a car and just say to heck with it and get rid of it and try again. But I really think that I have to sit here and I have to trust myself and I have to say, okay, look, you did everything as best as you possibly could and maybe even better than what you think. And we have to exhaust every avenue and we have to go down every road, and we're going down it. So we're going to give these new changes a try. Maybe I'll go to Waterford and try them. I don't know. It might be worth my time because, to be fair, yeah, the setup wasn't perfect for that track, but I felt exactly the same coming off the corner. So if we could solve it there, we're definitely going to solve it at Thompson. So it's worth trying. So let's get this thing put back together, but that's going to have to wait for another day, and I'll see you then. Didn't wait long. It's the next day. I got the car to a point where basically it's ready to go on scales if I really want to mess around with weights, and I actually want to take notes and look at the percentages, and I want to look at the corner weights because I got to see if I can play with corner weights to make the car bite more on exit. The problem being is this car's kind of chubby like me. She's a big girl for some reason, and I'm not helping. So for some reason, I talk to people and they're like, oh man, I got like 200-300 pounds of lead in my car. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, lead? Lead just makes my car overweight. So we got problems. I want to play with forward weight. I want to play with rear weight. I want to play with cross weight. I want to play with changing the weights on the corners, like I said. But the problem is I don't know a lot about bite or traction or cross weight or anything like that and what they do with the car, you know? Like, I'm used to driving the car with a specific amount of cross weight in it, which, I don't know, it seemed to work for a while. And now, I try that cross weight in the car now, and it's just not good. It's always kind of, depending on what bar I put in it, because like I said, I got 4 of them. It could be good on entry and through center, or a little tight center, or tight entry and center. It just really depends on what I do, and I have to take cross out of it for some things, and nothing really seems to solve my snap loose under throttle, zero grip off the rear tires issue. So I got to play with cross weight because maybe I just don't have enough weight on the right rear, and I got to try to make the car tight with less cross weight. Maybe I got it way over wedged, and I got to figure out a way to make it tight without using cross weight. So that's the conundrum I'm facing right now. And so I'm going to stick it on scales, and I'm going to take a whole bunch of notes, and I'll go through probably all of my old encyclopedias because I got all of my stuff cataloged from the past, whatever I wrote down, I guess. But I took some notes right here, and hopefully I'll be able to cross-reference that and we can figure out what it needs. And maybe, just maybe, I'll test it out at Waterford before we go, because if it can grip there, it'll grip anywhere. So let's get going. I gotta throw it on scales. onto the scale pads and check my frame heights because every single spring has been changed. Weight in the back has been changed. And I need to figure out what it is. Now, obviously, doing ride heights by yourself is difficult. But Stanley Power Lock, 12-footer, chrome body. See that? It says where my pinky is. Probably can't read it, but it says plus 2 inches. This is not one of them wacko bodies. You can measure from the bottom here to the top here is exactly 2 inches. And when you set your frame heights, you can, send it all the way up, lock it. Like if, let's see here, what's this? 3 3/8. That's 5 3/8 because you add the 2 inches. Simple. Boy, did I have this thing off after changing all them springs. Whew. Oh, there's my notebook. I got to go through and figure out how to get a little bit more left side weight. I kind of ran out of spots to put it, so I'm going to have to weld something in there, I guess. But it took me about 5 different attempts to get the old ride heights where I needed it because, to be fair, they were about 2 inches off after changing these, so that'll happen. But sun's going down, even though don't look it, but I got an iRacing League race tonight, and I still haven't eaten anything, so I think I'm going to call it for tonight, probably come back tomorrow and finish this thing up. Back in the shop, I moved a couple little weights around. It's the next day. I'm just going to do one more little roll on of the scales and see if we can't get the numbers kind of where we need it, and hopefully this thing will be ready to go again. I might do another test fit with the belts to see where they need to be on the lap belts because, man, the adjusters are like touching my seat, so that stinks. This is why I always buy the pull-up belts, and then I can adjust the bottom parts. But anyway, we're pretty close, and I need to just roll on, roll off a couple more times, and hopefully this thing will be dialed, and we can go test it, maybe. I'm not sure what we're really doing yet, but that's kind of the plan right now. Going through my numbers post-scaling, and I'm trying a bunch of different stuff that I really don't have any idea if it's going to work or not. And I'm trying to remember the past when I used to race a different type of car. And I used to run a ton less cross weight, but I'm trying to think, how did I get that to work when other guys weren't running that? And I'm trying to remember, and I don't even have any clue because apparently I don't know that much about setting cars up. I don't know anything about, like, cross weight to me is a number where I'm just like, okay, well, I set it to something that it likes and that's it. But I've never played with weight distribution in the car as much as I really think I should have. To me, I just kind of set the number to something that it felt good, so I just kind of went with it. But I never experimented past that point. I never said, okay, what if I put more weight on this corner of the car or that corner of the car, or, maybe it needs more or less rear weight, or maybe I can decrease this and move weight onto a different side without increasing cross or left side weight. Don't ask. Like, I've never tried moving things around like this. If there's a problem I've ever had with this car, it's the setup and my lack of knowledge with weight distribution. And that's really where I'm at right now, is I've spent too much time trying to get the car to handle with a crutch instead of trying to get the car to handle the proper way. And anybody who's set up race cars has found a place where they've hit a comfortable spot, but that comfortable spot is something your car becomes dependent upon. And that's kind of where I'm stuck. And I need to kind of move away from that into a place where I've read a lot of articles and they said, yeah, you know, a car that's neutral at 51 to 50, or like 50 to 53% cross weight, or 50 to 52, I forget what Circle Track magazine said, is a car that you can make neutral at 55 to 57%. And I'm like, how? But you read these articles and they're like super secretive. And the reason they're super secretive is because they run seminars that you can pay for, and you can learn how to set your car up and increase grip by going to these seminars. And I'm like, well, yeah, if you're not going to give it to the subscribers. So I canceled my subscription. So, oops. You wonder why these magazines have all failed. But so I'm on the track of old school setup knowledge that I just overlooked for way too long that I got to get back to. So we're working on numbers. We're trying to get the car to work off of springs, shocks, and trying to get away from crutches. You know, like, I can't really mention what I'm using as a crutch because I don't, if I figure something out, I don't want to give it away, duh, you know. So, again, circle track drivers are all racers in general, really, are all completely neurotic. And like I said, we try not to give away secrets, even if we're slow, and give me a little bit of grace on that. But anyway, I've got this thing set right now to something new. I'm going to try it, weather pending, and, you know, personally, myself pending. Maybe I'll go test out these theories. Maybe I'll go bring some parts and test those out. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'd really like to, though. Maybe I'll just hop on iRacing and test theory that way, but it's not going to tell me anything. It's a good tool for testing and trying things, but I wouldn't build a setup off of that because the cars are not exactly perfect. So anyway, thank you all again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe if you can. It's free to do. I appreciate every single one of you that has. This has been great. Again, I love meeting up with everybody at the track and in random places, wherever I end up at the races, wherever the races may be, I should say. But again, it helps me a ton. Tell your friends. I'm trying to get this thing off the ground, and I really want to do it without costing anybody else money. And maybe if I can get a couple bucks rolling in here and there off of ad revenue from Google, then, you know, I can buy a tire or two every once in a while. You know, I know it's not going to make me a millionaire, but, you know, every little bit helps. And I really, really like to spread the word of short track racing and the fact that you can be a hoarder like me and do this on your own. So until next time, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it.